start by giving us a quick introduction?
My name's Steve Peters and I'm the Academy Director here at Bracknell.
What other responsibilities do you have within the Academy?
I also oversee the development phase here from our under 11s to under 16s. That's my lead role.
Okay, so coming across to the kind of the Academy Director, the overarching position, just give us a bit more information. What does that entail? What's that role, the key kind of responsibilities?
So I kind of, my whole overview is to look after the under 23s right the way down to our under 7s, offering an environment and a pathway for our players right the way through to the first team, hopefully when they're good enough in a few years' time. And
who are your kind of key staff, key coaches? Who looks after the other phases?
So as our
from the top kind of down.
So our professional phase is overseen by one of our full-time coaches, Liam Parrington. I then oversee the development phase, and then you've got then Darryl White, who then oversees our foundation phase, which is our under 7s through to our under 11s.
Okay, before we kind of dive into Bracknell Town and in more depth, can you just give us a bit of an overview of your journey to the lane? So what did you do before you got to Bracknell Town?
So as a youngster, I was at Southampton for 6 years as a player, as a young player. Then left Southampton, went to Torquay United, 2 seasons there, and then went on to Bristol Rovers. Played in their first team there for a while, and then 6 knee operations. That was the end of that playing career. So then moved into the academy at Bristol Rovers, started coaching their under 10s and then right the way through up to their under 18s eventually. So spent 6 or 7 years or so there. In the meantime, set up my own coaching academy where we were delivering professional training sessions to players that were playing at grassroots clubs trying to reach the next phase. From that then took a role at Southampton, looking after one of their development centres initially. Then was offered the role at heading up their academy up in London, which was an awesome experience, kind of working very closely with Steve Hell down there, the academy director down at Southampton, coaching and finding players from the London area to then move on down to Southampton at the main academy. So that was awesome. And then, after a couple of conversations with Kane, the chairman here, then moved here probably 8 months ago or so.
So you got to your kind of the Mecca now, the big job.
The pinnacle.
The pinnacle.
Moved on from Southampton. Yeah, moved on from Southampton down and I progressing on to Bracknell Town.
So how do you find what's happening at the lane? What's your view?
I've had a conversation probably with Kane 2 years ago or so, where we were chat about kind of what was happening and where the club was going. We've now got to a point where we're massively excited about how we're going to progress our boys and put an environment in place that kind of mimics a professional academy like a Southampton, like a Chelsea, like a Man City, whatever. But give our local boys the training sessions and the tools to progress their game, to potentially move on to professional clubs. But what we've got now at our club within our academy teams is that we've got top coaches, A licensed coaches, B licensed coaches that are offering a high end level of coaching for our players locally. So there's no need for some of our players now to travel all around the country getting high-end coaching. It's here on their doorstep, with a view for those players to reach on into our under 18s, then progress to our under 23s, hopefully first team, and who knows from there.
And where do you see our kind of position in the ecosystem of football, the hierarchy? So you've obviously got your Premier League, Cat 1 academies.
Yeah.
Then you kind of the Championship, League 1, Cat 2, and the rest kind of coming under Cat 3.
Yeah.
And then right down the bottom you've got your grassroots, your pure grassroots.
Yeah.
Where does Bracknell Town sit in that hierarchy or structure, or however you want to
I think we're very quickly progressing towards a Category 3 academy with the level of coaching that's on offer here. We're kind of bridging the gap between kind of the local grassroots football, which is in this area is amazing, but some of our players probably do need the next step before they then could eventually go on to some of these Cat 1, Cat 2 academies. So for me, I kind of see ourselves sat in the middle between the grassroots level and the professional phase as it stands at the moment. However, I think we've got thought processes and kind of structure in place to push us towards a Category 3 to academy in the next year or two.
Okay. And then what do you think that offers locally? You kind of touched on boys travelling far and wide to get their football.
Yeah.
And there's obviously out there, there's lots of academies, or they perceive to be academies, these paid for academies that sit underneath professional clubs. Obviously ours is a paid for coaching environment.
Yeah. What's
the biggest differential between us and say a Division 2 paid for academy? Is there any difference there? Or
in my opinion, no. There's not a lot of difference. When I initially came into the club 8 months ago or so, I think there was quite a difference whereby the youth system here was slightly confused in its kind of makeup, where there was some really top teams in here and then probably some lesser teams, which is absolutely fine, but probably not where this club is going now. So where we are now with our coaching and what we're offering our players in terms of their tactical and technical parts of the game, but also their strength and conditioning, their movement literacy, their social approach, their mental approach, we're offering our boys as much, if not more, than some of these some of the category 2, 3 academies. Having said that, there's nothing against the category 2 and 3 academies. Some of them are amazing. But I think we are certainly offering, when we touch on kind of social approach, and even kind of in here in our media room, where we're offering our players interviews, post and pre-match game interviews and things. These are, yes, they're great if our boys go on to the professional game where they'll have to do interviews and things, but more importantly for me, these opportunities we're giving these boys, it's kind of public speaking, it's being able to speak in front of a camera, being able to go into a meeting and have conversations with potential business partners, whatever. So I think we're kind of offering, yes, we want our players to have that dream and reach for the stars and go on and be professional footballers. If that doesn't happen for whatever reason, well, we're also going to have a well-rounded young men that can go on into the business life or into personal life where they can just be nice young men.
So I've heard the strapline used around the club, making better people.
Yes.
Is that kind of tick?
That ticks a lot of my boxes from an academy director point of view, and I think a lot of that's come from my Southampton days. If you look at the players that have come out of Southampton through their academy, they're all fine young men. Really, they all know how to behave well, know how to kind of talk well in front of cameras, know how to kind of engage with supporters and things like that. So the kind of the better people is such an amazing thing that we can use football as a tool in order to achieve. Football now and again has a bad reputation of producing some unsavoury characters and kind of there's some behaviours that happen in football that I think, why is football the vehicle for bad behaviour? It should be the other way around. We need to look into the rugby world a little bit and kind of take a few of the things that they do and use them to promote the better person within the football world as well. Yes, produce players, but more importantly, produce fine young men.
Yeah. And then one of your other responsibilities within that comes under the academy is the International Academy,
yep.
which is the International and Domestic Academy that's launching August next month, August 2019. I know it's been a lot of work behind the scenes over the last 12 to 18 months to put that together and to bring that to Bracknell Town. I know you've been very active in that in your time at the club. So just talk to me about your what an international, specifically a player coming from overseas, what can they expect when they arrive here at Bracknell Town?
We're super excited about this international boys coming over and training with us in our academy. So predominantly I think we've got lots of boys from the US coming over. They're coming over for a football experience, the kind of the English way, if you like to call it. They'll come in and they'll get their technical information that they need that we're so good at over here when we're coaching. But again, also kind of the social approach and the mental approach, how it's quite a tough industry, football. There's no given. You're not going to be a professional footballer just because you want to be. So I think these boys are coming over to train like a professional, be coached like a professional, live like a professional. It's not a holiday for these guys coming over here. We need to produce that environment again for those boys to kind of reach their dreams and try and reach their potential. Potentially go back to the US and touch on the doors of the MLS teams and things like that. So we will train them. We will give them every tool that they need to progress. It's then up to those guys really to then work on applying themselves correctly, give them the focus and desire that needed to take their game to the next level. So it's from a Bracknell Town point of view, this is the kind of adding this to our academy. It's kind of what's getting us all very excited here, that we can actually produce full-time footballers here that can move on to the next level, whether that's into our first team or beyond, back to the US, back to the other countries that they're coming in from. So.
And obviously they're going to be training full-time with the domestic local players. What do you think that's going to do? How's that experience going to be for a 16, 17-year-old from Bracknell training with a 16, 17-year-old from California or New York or South Carolina? What is that?
I think culturally it's amazing, isn't it? That we're kind of going to take our local boys out of their little bubble around here that's all about Berkshire and Bracknell and things like that, and introducing different cultures, different thought processes, different ideas, different ways of training probably. I'm guessing, without knowing the American boys and the other guys just yet, but certainly from the US, from my experience, very hot on movement literacy, very into nutrition, looking after their body. How do we get the best out of our body? Now, whether some of our 16-year-olds over here kind of have that same thought process, I'm not so sure. But then what our 16-year-old boys from the local area here will give a desire to become better at football. Now, hopefully that will then transcend to the American boys. So that culturally, it would be an amazing mix. And I can foresee some of our local lads producing and kind of developing lifelong friendships with someone from New York, for example, that without this experience that would never have happened. So I'll be awesome if we get to the point that we've got some of our local lads going over to the US to have holidays, to have work experience, to go and play over there, to go and study over there. So having the links between the two countries, well, for me, it can only be a benefit.
And on that, I mean, obviously we will hear from Liam direct himself. He's gonna do an interview. But Liam's kind of speciality, although he looks after our professional phase here, he also specialises in finding scholarships for sports, a cross section of sports, but football's probably his absolute speciality. And I mean, what's he going to bring to the party for our domestic boys?
Liam's knowledge of kind of international travel and international playing abroad is phenomenal. So the great thing that we've got here at Bracknell, we've got certain people in certain roles that will give an expertise. I'm not an expert, certainly not an expert in the US footballing scene. Liam is. So for Liam to chat to some of our local domestic boys on possibilities to go to the US it's an amazing. He's lived there for 4 years. He understands the college system. He understands the football system over there. So again, it's just kind of having great people at this club that are going to allow and give the opportunities for our players to move on. And even the US guys coming this way, well, if we find that little gem, I could call most professional football clubs and say, we've got this lad from the US, do you want to have a look at him? So it works both ways. We've got Liam that can produce opportunities to go to the US. We've got a number of us here in the UK that could offer our international boys opportunities as and when they're ready. So, super. It's an amazing opportunity for our 16-year-olds over here, but also 16, 17-year-olds that are coming here.
And then kind of finally finishing up now on our technical partnership with GPS.
Yep.
You recently toured the Valencia training ground and spent a week down in Valencia. Just tell me how did you find that experience down in Valencia? and then we'll just lead on to talking a bit more about GPS. So what was it?
Oh, the trip to Valencia was great. We took, I think, 6 or 7 of our coaches here that are coaching our under 8s right way through to our 15s. Going into a professional football club in that play in the La Liga in Spain just opens up our. I've seen lots of things across my time in football and coaching, things like that. You walk into Valencia and straight away, just their different kind of style of how something just as simple as how do they get their goalkeepers involved in their outfield training sessions, and you think, wow, we haven't even thought about that over here yet, in my opinion. So Valencia will offer us some opportunities to go out there and for our coaches to improve. A wonderful place in the world to go and visit. A training centre and a media centre over there that could offer our coaches and our players experiences that they may not ever had before. Listening to some of the guys that work over there in their academy, we will all learn from that. Hopefully they might learn the odd thing from us now and again, but for us to go out and experience different cultures, different way of thinking, a different style of football. For me, this is where us as a club here now can take all those good things. The American boys will bring something that we've not got here. Going over to Valencia, the Spanish can play football. There's no question about that. So can we take the best bits from everywhere and produce a culture that fits here in our lovely weather in January over here?
And Mark Spalding, the technical director from GPS, looks after all of North America and Europe.
Yep.
Has just spent a week, 5 days on campus at Browntown.
Yep.
How did that go?
Oh, amazing. What a guy to be involved in football with. He's full of energy, full of conversations, full of stories, full of knowledge. We've been bouncing ideas off each other. I think our kind of syllabus and our methodology is an open document as such. So Mark's got some amazing ideas that he's put together with the GPS guys that we've learned from immediately. I think we've got a few ideas I think will help with his development and GPS development. So amazing to just have a few days with a guy that's got as much enthusiasm about football and developing young players as Mark has. Again, can only be a benefit for us here and for our players, more importantly.
Superb. Thank you very much for coming in to speak today.
No problem.